Everybody, this is Chris Pfluger again with another We Wonder. Today's a little different. Today, we wanted to put up a different type of We Wonder. It's about the reasons not to buy and own an insurance franchise. And so there are quite a few very, very good reasons not to own an insurance, agency and an insurance business in general. We want to share those with you today because I think we have some really good insight to each one of those points. So I've heard it all, right? So we've been doing this for a while. We've talked to a lot of folks out there, and there's a lot of reasons not to do it. And we want to share those right now. So I've heard, I'm just way too busy. Things are expensive. How do I do it? I'm by myself. How do I get things done? Right. So, as we go through, I think we can answer some of these questions. But, one of them is, hey, I'm too busy. I'm way too busy to get into the business right now. I'm too busy to transition over. I'm too busy to make, more revenue. I'm too busy to have more carrier access. I'm just too busy. Right. So obviously I'm being facetious because no one should be too busy to improve their business and grow. But a lot of times that's really what happens, isn't it? Right. We don't have time to slow down to take a little focus moment and decide, hey, this is the right thing to do for my business long term. I really do need to make that move. Right. So the other thing is I'm all alone. Right. Hey, I do this by myself. I'm a one-man shop, or I have, one producer. How am I going to do this? Or I have an ancillary business I'm running every day. I don't have time to do this. Like, I'm too busy to jump into it and figure it out. Great news. Before that was a problem. Today, We Insure is here to help you out. And the reason that we are growing so rapidly, and I'd like to say we were growing at a 50% rate, but I'm thinking we're well above that at this point. So last year was a little over 50%. This year is over that. And we've gone from 2 states to 26 states in the last 18 months. And that is not by accident, right? That is very much intentional. So we are letting the secret out there. People are finding out about We Insure. But here are the reasons why you don't want to buy an insurance franchise model. That's for sure. So let's start off with the first one. And again, I've answered a couple of them there, but Meg Murphy, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Fantastic. So this one is number one on my list. It's impossible. It's very difficult, but it's almost impossible to get carrier access. Hey, I go to these carriers myself and I can just do this, but there's none available. So tell me about that.
Well, the good news is when you join We Insure, we've done a lot of that heavy lifting for you. So we have national partnerships all throughout the United States with all kinds of different carriers, national brands you've heard of, maybe Progressive you've heard of, Nationwide. So the things that we can provide to you through our franchise is those relationships so that you have those carriers and you have access to them. Not only do we provide that for you, but it's very turnkey. We go ahead and fill out all the paperwork. If you've ever had to get an appointment, it's really rigorous. So we go ahead and do all that for you. It's seamless. We have a whole department dedicated to that, as well as, the breadth of our different types of carriers. So we have home, we have auto, we have commercial, we have life insurance. So again, we're here to make it easier for you to bind business.
That is fantastic. And again, that kind of solves that problem. I know that, every one of the insurance agents that I talk to say the same thing. Listen, I've looked at this and, there's no way I can go get an appointment with a carrier. It just wouldn't happen. And so it's a huge barrier to entry. Great news. We insure you automatic access, and we actually do those appointments for you. We have an entire agency services department that works with you right before you come to train to start to get those in place. And we'll work with you consistently. If you find a new one out there, we'll review it and help vet that carrier in your market to make that happen. So that is a great answer. How about the second question here, Mr. John Henning? I don't know enough about insurance. Neither does John. John's like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. So John is going to, looks like he's frozen, but I will tell you that is one of those questions we get quite a bit. It's, I don't know enough about it.
So it looks like John and
There we go. Training, support, and everything else. So we have a tremendous department out there. And so when we talk about, I don't know enough about insurance, a lot of our ancillary owners know very little, right? They know very little. They know that everybody needs it, and they know that it's a fantastic business to be in, but they don't know the day to day. They're not writing policies on a day-to-day basis. They're not helping families like most of our producers are. So how does that happen for them? Well, the great news is we have an outstanding, industry-leading training department. We have one of the top tier technologies in the entire United States for insurance, and allows us to really help leverage everything that we do on a day-to-day basis and get that training in place for your person. We handle it from day one, right? So they go through foundational training, they go through live training, then they're assigned to an agency development consultant for the entire length of your time with us, as well as the entire industry. Like, we have an entire culture of all of our other producers that want to help out. So culturally, we are based around that support. And again, that's not to mention the support that your clients get. So you don't have to know a whole lot about it, but we will make sure that you are up to speed. So we have folks that have no experience, and we have folks with 25 years experience that come aboard, and all of it is, the model works for you. So that's the great news. How about number 3? It's too expensive. Jason Shepard, have you ever heard it's too expensive to get into insurance? I just can't do it.
Absolutely. When it comes to hiring staff, building a storefront, having a dedicated office, those are all sorts of barriers to entry that would keep you from opening your own agency. Whereas with our streamlined, it's very much for that agency owner in mind. Allow you to offload some of the non-revenue generating tasks and allow you to focus on generating the revenue that we've spoken of already so far. How do we lower the overhead? We don't require a storefront like others out there. We don't require you to have customer service representatives on staff. It is really built with that scalable growth in mind. So, ideally your first hire is another producer to start adding more and building more to that book of business as fast as possible.
And that's absolutely true. So, it's just too expensive is not it used to be, right? It used to be one of those things that's cost prohibitive. There's so much out there to putting into an agency, and you have to do all the work yourself. Not anymore. Right? We have the ability to be very flexible on location as long as it meets a state requirement. We're perfectly good with it. And, it gives you the ability. I mean, business is completely different today than it used to be, right? The bricks and mortar still necessary, but it's changed. It could be a 300 square foot location, with a We Insure sign inside and a marquee out front, or it could be a massive storefront with 16 producers. We are very flexible on how you want to grow your business. So that is a great response. We actually are one of the top low-cost franchises and the low overhead franchises in the business. And so that's one of the great accolades we've gotten over the last few years. So here's another question for you. Jose Santiago out of Texas. It doesn't look like I can make any money at insurance. It doesn't look like I can make money on it.
Doesn't look that way, but Chris, that's actually simply not true. Insurance has been one of the most lucrative industries for generations. All right, I mean, there's so much more opportunity in the insurance industry now. Transactionally speaking, that might be accurate, where you're not going to make a whole lot of revenue on any one transaction, but this is kind of like a slow and steady build. It's got the snowball effect, right? So it's about grabbing or capturing a household and offering them all of the services that we offer, right? Not just one product, but all the products. And then as you capture that, referrals start kicking in, and then just other lead sources that are available to you to just continue to grow your business, right? And then 9 times out of 10, when a person leaves their agent, is because they're looking for a different option, right? And then a lot of times that agent is not able to offer the multiple options, but in our model you can, right? So that way you can change companies, but not the actual agent, right? So the fact that there's not enough revenue or money in this is not true. It's not true at all. Fast forward 5-10 years from now, I mean, you got a massive tree that you planted, right? I mean, I like to use that analogy. When was the best time to plant a tree? It was 10 years ago, right? And it just continues to grow over time. So anyway, that's kind of how I answer that question, because it's simply not true.
Yeah. So if you're looking at it on a one by one deal basis, it probably is difficult to see. If you look at it as a 30 and 40 deals in a month, and then you start talking year over year, it all of a sudden, now I think it's pretty obvious that when you see all of these insurance commercials on TV, and you have, starting quarterbacks in the NFL in those commercials, those can't be cheap, right? So you have to think to yourself, there's money somewhere. And, how do I set up my business to capture that? And that's generally what we're looking to do. But we're going to give you more arrows in your quiver, because we're going to have more of those carriers that Meg was talking about. So they have access to more and more, so you can help more families. And under the traditional model, obviously, when you were looking at it and you only had one carrier or two carriers or three carriers, and people would come in and you'd have 10 people walk in the door and you could only help two of them, it's a very difficult business. That's a very difficult business to be in. In today's world with a we insure, you can help 9 out of 10. You always lose that one. I don't know, but you always get 9 out of 10. And at that point, at least you can help every family that walks in the door and give them the very, very best rates, but the best coverage for their needs, not just one of those, a couple that I had, right? I only had these two, so here's the best price, is not the best answer, for clients. And people won't accept that anymore. So today, you should demand having access to that type of carriers, right? So you want to make sure that you're have choice as a consumer, of course. So those are great answers. There's reasons not to do it, right? And under traditional models and under these legacy models that were, just a single offering, we call them captives, I would agree with you. There's a lot of reasons not to do it. But today there's been a lot of changes. And again, we ensure that secret's getting out. So I want to do a quick bonus round, though. I don't want to leave it just at that, because there's more reasons not to, right? So why don't we start with Jose? We'll go back through you since we have you on here. I heard a lot of times people say, listen, I start the business, but I'm going to need a producer, right? Either I have an ancillary owner, I've got a real estate office, a mortgage company, a financial planning firm, a tax firm. I've got other, lead sources, but I couldn't find, how do I find a producer?
Yeah, no, I got you. And I hear that question a lot too. So, we have tons of resources for our franchise owners, right? Not only can we have content that we can help them post, right? That's just ready-made for the positions that are available to you. But we'll also take it one step further, right? I mean, we'll be as involved as you want us to be, to the point where we're helping in the interview process, right? If you or the franchisee does not know enough about insurance when they're getting in, right? They're just starting and haven't learned everything about the insurance industry yet, or we haven't taught them yet. We can take on that role for them as to help them find that right fit for their office, right? So we have all the resources to give you to help you find that person, and we can even get involved, unlike any other insurance franchise company that's out there. So I don't know of anybody else that'll go to that length to help you find the right person for your office. And I put that, into play just in the past couple of weeks by helping one of the franchisees that we brought on board find a producer for their office.
And I'll tell you, that's an incredible service, because a lot of people will have some apprehension about finding someone. I don't know enough about it. What am I going to say? How do I interview that person? And really what we would do is say, hey, is it a cultural fit for your agency, right? Is it a cultural fit in your office with the existing leads that you have? And if the answer is yes, that person is, and they're licensed, we're happy to help you and look at another round and say, yes, that person meets a lot of those needs. We're happy to help you identify certain candidates, what the process is and how to find those right candidates. So we want you to be successful right from the beginning. We have a lot of our owners that say, I'm going to buy the franchise. I'm going to set it up. I want to get everything, set up. So I have my website and I have everything in place. So when I hire that person, they know what they're being hired to. And then I go the other direction too. Right? I have people that say, no, I want to talk to a few people in advance, and then I'm going to hire them into that spot. Both of them will work, right? Both of them, we're equally comfortable either way. As long as you're engaged as an owner, this will all work out for you, right? So it all works out really well. All right, let's do this. This is the second one. I'm going to go back through. John, I'm going to ask you, since you're back with us, let me ask you this. Hey, we insure in this case. So this is a franchise model. We insure. Why would I do it? You're new in my state. I've never heard of you.
Well, we've been new in every state we've gone into, right? And, over the past 12 to 18 months, we've opened up in 24, 25 new states now, right?
Yep.
And so we, originally a Florida-based company, but the reality is the model's not new, right? The model works. And that's the whole premise of the franchise itself, is that it's duplicatable, right? And very turnkey. And so I've personally worked with almost every new state that we've opened up here over the past year or two. And we've been new in every one of those states, and every single time everybody says the same thing to me, is that, you're new. Nobody knows who you are. We're partnering with the right people in that state. If we weren't new there, we simply wouldn't need them, right? We would just open up a corporate location, right? So the whole purpose of the franchise is to duplicate in.
Yeah, it is. And so that was going to be my response too, right? You want to duplicate, you want to put it in there, but we already have all the resources, right? We already have the carrier relationships on a national scale basis.
States, and we've got those
on a national scale basis, and we'll put them in there. So John, that was a great point about being able to duplicate in different markets, because really the model works anywhere, right? So
right.
The great news is those carriers we have a relationship with, we'll have the same relationship with in California as we would in Florida or Texas. And so as we grow that brand across there, people are saying, we aren't aware of you yet. The good news is if you're the first person in the state, you get to promote the fact that you're the only person in the state right now, right? You're the first one. There's a lot of PR around it. You're planting that flag and you're helping grow. But really, you're the first person to bring that many carriers and an entire brand new model to your state. And to all those customers that have been suffering since they haven't had a chance to do this before, now they have the relief and have the benefit of having a WeInsure. So we look at that as a tremendous advantage, not as a negative. So that's an excellent point. So we're gonna hit two more quick points here. How about Jason? Jason, we've got you down. I've heard franchises are, it's kind of the F word, right? It's a franchise, and it's very restrictive. Franchising is so restrictive. I don't know what I can do. Right. I don't know if I want to be part of a franchise. That's scary.
Absolutely. And, the long-term commitments and locked in forever and ever and ever. That's simply just, not the way that we offer, that we operate. It's a 5-year term that auto renews as long as you're in good standing. There's no additional fees. That's probably the most common, is I got to pay a franchise fee, and then in 5 years I got to pay another franchise fee. And that's just not how we operate. The other added bonus with how we have everything set up is you own the controlling interest in your book of business. There's not a tax if you need to sell your book or anything like that. There's multiple ways to monetize your work, your book of business, and allow you to set this up as a long-term revenue stream for you, even down the line, even after, if you decide to sell your main business and you have this as an additional stream, that you don't have to stop doing the insurance, when the real estate transactions stop or the mortgages stop or whatever. You own the financial stake in the book of business, so it can turn into that asset down the line that you can, continue to earn off of, or use that as a separate marketable asset and sell it together.
Well said. No, that's well said. So, it really is less about the franchise agreement that's in place. And that's the reason, we distribute it across multiple states using that distribution model. However, it really comes down to our relationship and the book of business itself. We want to help to work with you as much as we can to build as big of a book as you really want. In most traditional businesses, they would say, in most traditional, agencies, they would say, $2 or $3 million book's pretty good. We're going to tell you, we want you to leverage all of our support teams, our service teams, all of our marketing resources, and access to all those carriers. And we want to see you get into the 7, 8, 15, $20 million books where it starts to become really interesting, right? So you're really a dominant force in your particular market. And that's what we're shooting for. That's why we use this model out there, and that's what we're leveraging to do. So final question here is, I'm not going to be competitive in my market, Meg. Hey, listen, if I get into insurance, how do I know I'm going to be competitive?
Well, that's a good one. And like you said, our goal is to make sure you're a dominant force. And with that, what we do is not only that carrier access, like we were talking about, you're going to have, a handful, dozens, so many different carriers that you're going to have in your, you'll have all those arrows in your quiver, and you're able to use all of the different carriers that we have, all of the different lines of business that you'd have access to. You're not restricted to just your state. You're competitive even in other states. That's a little secret with We Insure. If you want to go beyond your home state, We Insure is the only franchise that will let you go beyond with non-resident licenses, which is fantastic. We let you sell everything from home and auto to commercial, like I was mentioning before. Our whole idea, like Chris was saying, $2-3 million, that's a pretty good business. But we're looking for you to be at that 10, that 12, that dominating force. And we're doing everything we can to make sure you're competitive and win that business over, whether it be the carrier access, whether it be, access to different products, or just focusing on selling. One thing that we do really well is we take off your plate all of that non-revenue generating activity. So nobody wants to do a mortgagee change, so we take that off so that you can keep running and building a business quicker, faster. Again, that dominating force is our goal. So we make sure we take all of those obstacles out of your way and get you on the road to success.
That is absolutely true. Well, some of you might be asking, who are these people and why did they jump in on this? And the answer is all these folks are franchise sales consultants across the entire nation. And so if you are interested in a We Insure because you've realized that the model you're in right now is too restrictive, or you didn't have enough time, let us show you how we have plenty of time to do this for you. And more importantly, let's go through and let's get you started and find out more about We Insure and why so many new states are opening up and so many people have discovered that secret. So thank you guys for joining us. Feel free to reach out to us at weinsurefranchise.com. You can give us a call. You can ask any one of these folks. You can look them up. They're here to help you. They're helping folks every single day discover, how they can really grow their business with We Insure. So thank you guys for joining me today. And I think we've dispelled all those myths. And we have a new avenue for everyone to take a look at. So thanks for it and have a great day.